Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon Shank, and welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. You just missed it. Corey knocked his camera completely.
I was like, all right,
off.
here we go. And I
Wherever
hit the
it was
record button. My computer just goes back.
Well, let's start off today with what everybody's thinking. Is the NFL fixed?
Yes.
Are we watching WWE?
Yes.
Listen, I am a purist, and I've heard these conspiracy theories forever, and I have been adamantly against them. I think it's ridiculous. For those that are watching the video, yes, there's a Braves flag behind me and an Orioles hat on my head. Let me tell you the backstory before I get into this. My wife and I, when we got married, I was an Orioles fan. She was a Braves fan. We walked away from our reception. I had an Orioles jersey on, and she had a Braves jersey on. Both of us had number 12 in high school for baseball and soccer, respectively. So on the back of our jerseys, they both said Shank, number 12. Mine was Orioles, hers was Braves. I've been married for 20 years. Therefore, I am a devout Braves fan and a committed Orioles fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm still an O's fan. My wife is a diehard Braves fan. I mean, we've been to Truist Park. We go. I mean, it's a blast. I love the Braves. I love going down there. But I've never grew up really with just a team. Like I grew up an Indians fan. Whenever they had like Carlos Baerga and Manny Ramirez and Kenny Lofton, I watched the Braves and Fred McGriff and Jeff Blauser and Terry Pendleton and John Smoltz, Greg Maddux. Like I watched them through all the stages, and I used to watch. I mean, I liked the Yankees when they had Jeter. I used to like Josh Hamilton when he played for the Rangers. So I've always been a fan of like baseball players, and I've had teams. I loved watching Sammy Sosa when he's with the Cubs, but I'm just a big baseball fan. So yeah, I'm rocking the O's hat with the Braves flag behind me. But that's just in case you're watching the video thing and this guy's lost it. Secondly, is the NFL fixed? I'm a purist. I've never thought the NFL, I don't think it's WWE. I don't think that it's, Monday Night Raw. I hated wrestling. My dad used to watch it growing up on Saturdays, and I was like, this is the biggest waste of time. It's already scripted. You already know who's going to win. Who cares? I used to think that. And now I'm a Commanders fan. We got beat. This is not why I'm saying it. We went to the NFC Championship. If anything, I have a reason to celebrate, right? I thought we were going to go to the Super Bowl and possibly win it. This year was crazy for us, so anything could happen. We were playing great. Everybody's like, oh, you got blown out. We didn't get blown out. We were down by 11 in the fourth quarter. That's not getting blown out. There was a couple of cushion touchdowns at the end. They're not a big deal. But after watching the NFL playoffs this year, I am starting to have serious concerns that the money line and the betting and the gambling is not killing the NFL. Because I think there is a chance that it's all connected. And I'm absolutely making that assertion.
I'm just excited to have you on our side. I've been
against this for a long time. You know that.
Let's get our tinfoil hats out.
This conspiracy theory for a long time. Because I'm not a conspiracy guy. I'm like, come on, it's just what it is. But I will say this. After seeing the late hits on Patrick Mahomes that they called, that some of them weren't. And Jaden Daniels, we played Alliance. He got hit out of bounds almost into the TV cart or the TV cameras. Nobody called anything. This week, we hit Saquon Barkley. He put his left foot down. We hit him. They called us for 2 pass interference, which are like arm bars because we grabbed a bicep, whereas like an arm bar is like a legit arm bar. They threw a flag on Marshawn Lattimore when A.J. Brown, who pulled Marshawn's helmet off. I mean, that actually helped us because we stopped the tush push, and so they didn't get the 2-point conversion. So, and then there was a hold. Saquon Barkley, we had a 4th and 5. It was right in front of. They're watching the quarterback make sure nobody hits him. It's right in front of them. It's a hold where he doesn't just hold him. Like his arm's fully extended. He's reaching towards the quarterback because he got burnt, and they didn't call it. And I'm not saying those plays they do change the game because we were on down by 5. I think at that point that would have switched the field. But I look at like the hits on Mahomes, and they haven't called a thing. Like Houston, there was 2 hits they called on him that changed the entire course of the game and then Patrick Mahomes flops out of bounds, and I'm thinking, when you're pulling for calls that hard, I do wonder. And I mean, he's addressed it. I have no problem with the Chiefs. I have no problem with any of these teams, but I just look at like the Bills 4th and 1. You could say, now people are saying, well, they should have done a different play, and maybe Josh Allen wasn't there. Whatever it was, anybody watching the playoffs this year, to me, I felt like there were calls that even went under review that I'm thinking everybody in America knows what that call is.
Yeah, it's wild.
And you still called it the other way. There was a catch made that they gave to the Chiefs that the Bills receiver, if anybody caught it and it hit the ground and they gave it intercept, it's just calls that you're like, those are baffling, and you have review to get it right and you still get it wrong. And I understand, like, we're human, we're making calls in real time. I 100% agree with that. You're making calls in real time. However, the calls that they messed up all had review on them. They still had review. And if the NFL is going to let you throw a flag to review, to challenge things, you should be able to challenge anything. Why can't you challenge a holding? Why can't you challenge that it was not a pass interference? Why can't you challenge a face mask? If you can challenge, why can't you challenge anything? If you can see it on a video, you should be able to challenge any penalty, any call. You get 2 challenges. So when they're done, they're done. It's not going to slow the game down.
Yeah.
My point is, these are calls that were under review and they still got it wrong. Now, I remember years ago, whenever the NBA had this big fallout because the referees, there was a gambling circle and all this stuff. The problem is now the bet lines, you hear more about. I was trying to find like who's picking Washington to win or lose last week, and all I could find, it took me a while to find it because everything is about betting lines and the over-unders, and it's just getting ridiculous. It's all about money. And some of you, I know, you're hardcore gamblers that are listening. Some of you just do it casually, whatever it is. But the reality is, I don't, and I could care less about the betting lines. I want to know, who are you picking to win the game? And I just feel like I'm wondering, when you're talking about billions of dollars getting moved every weekend for some of these games, money moves everything in the world.
Yeah.
Everything. Money controls everything. You're going to be hard-pressed to convince me that money doesn't control the NFL and it's not controlling the outcome of these games. I am starting to wonder. In fact, I'm a season ticket holder, y'all. I'm a season ticket holder for the Commanders. I've got 4 seats, 5 rows from the field. I am committed, and I bought these when we sucked. I bought these when we were under different ownership, all right? And now they're about sold out, and I've got great seats because I bought them before when we weren't any good. I'm committed, and I am telling you, I'm at a place now where I'm wondering if we're not watching WWE. And that, to me, it wasn't this thing of, I'm literally thinking, are we watching WWE? Is this real? Is this all of a sudden, like, is this fixed? Are they really fixing games? Because some of these calls, it wasn't like they had a bad weekend. Throughout the playoffs, it was laughable. It was laughable, some of the stuff that they missed. You're thinking, you guys are professionals, and you have review, and you're still missing it. I just think, and the coaches are not allowed to talk because they're saying if you speak against the refs, it's about the integrity of the game. I get what they're saying, but the reason they're just hushing the coaches up to keep the integrity of the game. Well, I don't. Whether it's Goodell and the guy, I don't know. There's a reason Goodell comes to the podium every year and he gets booed off the stage during the draft because that's the only time NFL fans get to voice their opinion. And the NFL keeps their players' mouths shut. They keep the coaches' mouths shut. It is a good old boys club with a bunch of owners it's a good old boys club, man. And don't get me wrong. If I have become a billionaire, I'd love to own a team. So if you're an owner listening to this, vote me in. But I'm saying that, just saying there's just so many inconsistencies and things that just don't make sense with it to me,
I think you're going to see stuff shift next year. Like I literally do. I think
people are calling it out.
Because people are calling it out. They're talking about it. Stuff's going to shift. Stuff's going to change. And, whether things come to light, I don't know. But there are weird things. I remember I can't remember what Chiefs game it was, but that one game where the kicker goes back and he gets a safety. And it's like, well, what was the point of that except to change the score and potentially change the bets on the game? It's like, it's just weird, man. It's weird. So, welcome to our team.
Yeah. It's, and then they were parenting the game. Like there's this tush push the Eagles do, and they were parenting the game. The refs came out and said, if Washington continues to do this, we're going to award Philadelphia the touchdown. I've never, ever, ever heard that rule. Now, it obviously exists. But Bobby Wagner was talking yesterday in Washington, and he said, listen, he's a linebacker for Washington. He said, listen, this play works, and it's good for them. If I was them, I would use it too. He said, but what we were trying to tell the officials is that they were actually lining up offsides, and they weren't calling that. He said they were over the ball. And that's just like Eagles to do that. You know what I mean? He said they were lining up offsides, and so we were lining up with them, and we were being called for offsides, but they were lining up in front of the ball. He was like, so you just get to a place where you just, it's already tossed to defend. He's like, it's a great play for them. He wasn't taken away from them, but he was saying these guys, and if you watch, their helmets are over that ball. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just one of those things, man, where I just don't know how in the world. The NFL needs to start suspending refs. They need to suspend. They need to start suspending people. Like I feel like the refs and Goodell, all those guys. Who's holding them to accountability.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody. They're the judge, court, and the jury. And like I said, I may get an email if somebody hears this, the wrong person, say you can't have season tickets anymore. I mean, that's the way the NFL works, man. It is such a powerful organization. It will. I mean, ask John Gruden. John Gruden was a coach of the Raiders, sent an email years before that was inappropriate. They found it. It was sent to his brother in Washington. When he was a coach of the Raiders, they found it years later, and they fired him, and he hasn't been back in the NFL since. I mean, it's a dangerous thing you play with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard not to believe that something's, not going on. Just it's entertainment and the sheer amount of money that flows through there. It's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, with all that, I saw a cool story. There's a cool story about Travis Kelsey and his story of redemption. I don't know how many of you know he played at University of Cincinnati. He got kicked off the team because he was drug tested and he had marijuana in his system. And the coach told him, "You'll never play for this team again." And so his brother went to the coach and said, "Listen, the players love him. People love him. He made a bad decision, but he's a great kid." And so he went to live with his brother. His brother played for Cincinnati as well. The story of redemption, Travis Kelsey, obviously gets drafted by the Chiefs and, going possibly his third Super Bowl in a row. And it's just a cool story of redemption because a lot of people see Travis Kelsey like, man, he's just a frat boy. But I don't think if you read his story, I mean, it's just kind of who he is. He's a partier. He's a crazy dude. He's probably a fun guy to be around.
Well, there was that cool moment in that story too, where Andy Reid calls Jason, and before he drafts him, because he's thinking about it, he's like, "Hey, if I draft your brother, what brother am I going to get? Am I going to get the wild kind of crazy one, or am I going to get one that's like determined or what?" And Jason was like, "No, I'm going to make sure the one you get." But it's cool. It's really cool.
That is cool. Yeah, and what a cool Andy Reid, man. He knows how to draft.
Yeah. It's true. He's a great coach.
How to draft. Well, and people like him. He's a father figure to a lot of people. I mean, Andy Reid, it's been very public. His own sons, I think one went to jail for hitting somebody while they were drunk and killed somebody, or put a girl in like a vegetative state, essentially, and the other one died of a drug overdose. Like Andy Reid's has his own struggles as a head coach with his family, and it's cool to see him being able to help so many people, even in the midst of his own struggles.
Wow.
And in the midst of his own stuff. You know what I mean? So, hey, what kind of fun fact you got for us today that doesn't have to do with anything disgusting or body?
Yeah, it actually doesn't. I have another.
That's what I like to hear.
I'm continuing
clean
this.
At 25, baby.
I'm continuing this kind of Valentine's Day themed fun facts that this one also includes AI.
Oh, I like it.
Can I just start with this, Brandon? Brad Pitt is not in love with you. Okay, I just want you to know that. Brad Pitt is not in love with you. Everyone out there, Brad Pitt, except for whoever he's dating now, Brad Pitt is not in love with you. And here's why. There was a French woman who recently got scammed out of $865,000 by someone impersonating Brad Pitt.
What?
So it was a online romance that started up, and so
how old was this lady?
How old was she? That's a great question. I feel like that was
$865,000. You gotta be established.
Yeah, she's got. Yeah, I definitely think she was somewhat older. But this happened. It was a French woman. And so in most recent high-profile example, a French interior decorator identified as Anne, so we don't know her real name, thankfully, got scammed out of 830,000 euros, which equates to $865,000, by someone impersonating Brad Pitt and his mother on social media. Her story was first shared on the French TV program. The scam began in 2023. When Anne started using Instagram and was contacted by a person claiming to be Brad Pitt's mother. She told me that her son needed someone like me, Anne explained. And the next day, someone claiming to be Brad Pitt started talking to her on social media. Here's the craziest thing. And Anne began a 1.5 year long online relationship with the Pitt impersonator. She said, quote, I was in love with the man I was chatting to, Anne reportedly said. He knew how to speak to a woman. Once Anne trusted the Pitt impersonator, the scammer began to use images generated by AI to show Pitt in the hospital to sell the lie that the actor had kidney cancer and needed money for treatment because his divorce from actor Angelina Jolie had frozen his bank accounts.
And somebody believed all of that.
The lie worked. And Anne, sent money. Here's the craziest thing. Anne sent money to the scammer that she had received from her divorce proceedings.
Wow. This is sad, man. This is sad. This actually makes me really sad.
I'm trying to find
somebody's life is turned upside down.
Yeah. And honestly, if you look up these images, unfortunately, I don't think this article has some of them. I've Google searched some of them. They're not even good AI images. It's like very clearly someone just like Photoshopped Brad Pitt's face on this guy in a hospital bed. And like the one of them showing like a picture of him holding up like a piece of paper that says, "I love you, Anne" on it, which is like, it's not, I know it's,
so you know what this says to me though? This is the thing when I hear this, of all the people that I've ever counseled, of all the people that I've pastored, of the years that we've done this, the 20 years I've been in ministry, this is what it tells me. Anne is deeply wounded and somebody stepped into a very vulnerable part of her life and took advantage of her. And so now the pain that she had before, it's like a surgical wound that was opened up, infected, and now it's even deeper. Like, this is devastating. I mean, if you get a divorce and you have $865,000, you're set for a while to be able to function at a high level in life and to enjoy. Even if you're alone and your heart is broken, you don't have to worry about whether you can afford carry out. You don't have to worry about whether you can afford to get away or do some things that help make the pain a little easier. And then to lose it all to a scammer, I don't even know if banks, what do banks even do with that? Anything?
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't say in the article. Yeah.
That's devastating. I feel bad for Anne.
It's wild. Here's one of the pictures.
Jeez. Unbelievable. And some people would say, well, Anne's stupid. Well, you can say that all you want, but Anne, they just got her the right. I mean, Anne, I can't believe Anne gave up $865,000 to that. That was a horrible picture. That was horrible.
Yeah. There's more too. Here's like over the course, again, a year and a half that they. And so I read in another article that how she came to become suspicious is that she started seeing news articles of Brad Pitt dating. He's dating some other person right now. I don't know who that other person is, but I don't know if she's a model or something like that. But she saw some news article of Brad Pitt dating someone else. And that's when she was like, did I just get scammed?
Oh my gosh. I mean, and throughout that year and a half, she could have looked on any of the websites and found Brad Pitt somewhere.
That's what people were saying. Yeah, people were saying like a quick Google search could have told you.
Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of responsibility that's falling on Anne. Yeah. But I still feel bad for her.
So hey, Brad Pitt's not in love with you. Okay, just let it sink in. It is. I just want everyone to realize.
Sorry, Anne. All right. Well, listen. Let's go to You Asked For It.
Don't blame me. You asked for it.
So, let's look back at 2024 real quick. Let's take and I want you to see if you can guess the top thing that was searched for on Google Trends last year. The number one trending search. The number one trending search last year. Do you want to take a guess?
Taylor Swift.
The election.
Oh, I'm that
number one trending search. You want to guess the number one trending person?
I mean, Trump.
Ding, 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 ding. He's 1 for 1, folks. It's pretty impressive. Do you want to guess the number one trending actor?
Actor?
That's what I said.
I'm trying to think of one that's caught up in all this political stuff, but I don't really follow it that well.
Cat Williams. And I have no idea who Cat Williams is.
You don't know who Cat Williams is? The comedian?
No.
Here, I'll show you a picture of him. Why is he the number one? That's crazy.
Apparently he did something.
This is Cat Williams.
Oh yeah. Listen, if you're in the news and you're trending, let's not assume that it's a good thing. Because usually people aren't finding out how good you're doing. They're usually looking up what happened. Number one trending movie in the United States of America in 2025. 2024.
I would love for it to be Dune Part 2, but I really doubt that's the case.
Close.
Yeah.
Inside Out 2.
Okay, cool.
Number 1 trending athlete last year. This one isn't
This is
hard
your
to
world.
believe.
It's your world.
I would never guess this because this is not to me, I would never have guessed it because it's not a current athlete. And now this person would argue they are a current athlete, but I would say they're not a current athlete. Mike Tyson.
I have no clue.
Mike Tyson.
Oh, wow. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I guess they did trend there for a while.
He's not a current athlete. He fought, but everybody knows that it wasn't Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was fighting for real, and he was in his prime. It would have been a 30-second fight. It would have been over fast. We all know that.
Yeah, it was an old guy fighting.
Maybe not 30 seconds, but it would have been a couple of rounds at the most. It wouldn't have gone. There would have been a knockout. And now Jake Paul, who knows? Maybe he would have held his own. I don't know. Number 1 trending sports team last year.
The Chiefs. Well, that's
Yankees.
soccer. I don't.
Yankees.
Wow. I'm not
Number
doing
1
well
trending
at all.
musician. This one, you're going to guess it wrong because I know what you're going to say. But this one will not surprise you. But I know what you're going to say. Number 1 trending musician. Think about the news.
The news?
Think about the number 1 musician in the news last year. This isn't even hard.
It's not even hard?
Think about
Well,
it.
again, you would say Taylor Swift, but part of my that's what I'm saying. My spirit wants to say Post Malone, but
no, I would think you would say P. Diddy.
Well, okay. See, my brain goes toward, okay, you gave me the answer and I didn't listen to you. I didn't follow you said just because you're trending doesn't mean it's good. I'm thinking good things.
But he wasn't actually the number 1. He was somebody that I would suspect, but I'll tell you number 1 was Usher, which is, there's a reason.
How?
Because he's involved in all that.
Oh, okay.
His name was, so let's go to the global searches. All right. Let's go to global really quick. Let's see who was let's see in global. Let's see who was, I don't know if they have so like global, the athletes, I don't even know who some of these people are.
They're all going to be soccer players.
Yeah, the sports teams though was the Yankees, then the Dodgers, and then it was a bunch of soccer teams. So it's interesting. Actors, Cat Williams, you know what I mean? Deadpool and Wolverine was number 2.
I can believe that.
Was number 3. Musicians, Diddy was number 1. Usher was number 2. Linkin Park was number 3. Sabrina Carpenter 4. Justin Timberlake 5. You know why he was 5? You got that DUI last year, or DWI.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, man, it's just like, it's not always good to be in the thing, but you know, listen, these celebrities make mistakes and they're human, so like, man, let them be human, dog. Like, I mean, they're just people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Google Trends. So hey, in the news. Well, I don't really like to call this in the news, but I want to talk about a subject very quick, and it was something that I read that disturbed me. How many of you listening hate to be categorized because you're a part of something? For instance, you like country music. So you're a white Republican that's a racist. Or you like country music, so you wear camouflage and you hunt deer and you're missing your teeth. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all these. For instance, I sent you something today on Instagram. I don't know if you saw it, but it was like a rave or something where people like, I don't get it with like heavy metal music. People like jump around and swing their arms and like knock people out.
Yeah.
What's up with that? Have you ever done that?
It's the mosh pit. No,
but
not
they're like hurting one another. Have you ever jumped around and flailed violently? Have you ever jumped around and flailed?
I've been in and around a mosh pit, but I've not done that. That's for sure.
So you've never jumped around and flailed your arms just to mosh?
No, some of those moves are called grave digging. Yeah.
Have you ever done grave digging?
No, no. In a comedic
okay.
kind of way.
Yes. Have you ever practiced it on your own in your room where nobody got hurt?
No.
Have you ever been with a group of friends and just like grave dug for a moment? Have you ever been with a group of friends and grave dug for a moment just to do it?
To be funny, yes.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Because
I asked you,
there's a movie of these grave diggers, and they're violent. Like there are people up against the wall, in a fetal position.
I can just show it to people really quick if you're watching.
And my question to you was, do these people like sci-fi?
Probably. That's what I'm saying. I'm sure they do.
I'm just asking. I mean, this is violent. I mean, these guys are drop kicking each other. I mean, this guy came out of a corner full of people, and he doesn't. I mean, this guy comes out of a corner full of people, and he doesn't even Unbelievable. If you're not watching the video, you got to watch this. This guy came out of a corner full of people, and he doesn't like goes dancing in the middle of the room. He goes off on everybody against the wall. He's going from person to person swinging. If I was there and that guy did that to me, they would call the cops because I would either be knocked out from fighting or he would be knocked out. If you come and grave dig on me and my friends, I mean, I guess if you go to a thing like that, it's just known like, hey, this is what we do. But why you would stand against the wall and let somebody beat on you while they're playing heavy metal music is far beyond anything I can comprehend.
The problem with that video, though, is like there's not enough people there for there to actually be a mosh pit. Like or a circle pit. Like a circle forms in a crowd of people, and you allow people to mosh. They do it in the middle.
Guy
the problem there is there's
ran
no mosh
to the
pit.
people and started moshing on top of them.
It's just people on the edge of a room
and he's
being
going
like,
to each of them
I don't want to
beat the crap out of them. What's up with that guy?
Exactly.
He's got to be
all
on
these
something.
people are like, I don't want to be out there. And he's just beating up people on the side of the room.
I would work that dude. My thought, I would work if I was at that party. That guy would be getting it. He comes over and starts swinging his arms at your face. I mean, what is wrong with him?
Yeah.
Because I say I'd work that dude. I don't know what I would have done if I was a kid and that happened. I can tell you what I would have done. But my thought was, that's where you have. It's like, Jesus, you're going to have to forgive me. This cheek ain't getting turned right now. I'm already, you know what I'm saying? There's gonna. My thought was with that cat, he was straight up violently attacking people. There was no
for sure.
There was nothing musical about that.
Yeah,
that's all. It was just. I was like, these people gotta like sci-fi.
And I've definitely. I grew up playing in hardcore bands.
That's why I asked.
I feel like. Yeah, I still have musical taste and love for that for sure. I feel like my musical taste has been somewhat refined since then, but part of the reason why I never participated in stuff like that is just out of care for my own fellow man. Like I don't need to be in a circle throwing.
I don't want to get hit. Yeah, I don't want to get punches thrown at me. There's nothing fun. I don't understand it. But you can't listen to that music long enough. My thought was that guy's got to be on something.
I mean, rage, pure rage.
I gave him the benefit of the doubt when I saw that video of like, man, this dude's on something. They're like making fun. If he's not on something, he just did that. Somebody needs to hold that dude accountable. Somebody needs to say, hey, partner, this ain't the way this goes down.
There's a whole nother world we could open you up to, Brandon. A whole nother.
I don't
world.
want it. I don't want anything. I don't want it. There's a reason God's kept me from that world. There's a reason.
Jocks play football. These people go into mosh pits.
Yeah, we play football, organized sport with officials to keep us from hurting one another after the whistle. These guys, there is no whistle. It's just straight time to die. I mean, that was scary. That's scary. So I say that because we categorize people and we throw everybody into one big bin. And then if you're that person, there's some people who say, well, if you're white, you're a racist. There's some people who say, well, you're black, you're a racist. There's some people who say you're Asian, you're racist, right? There's a lot of things that categorize you and automatically put you in there. There's a lot of people who say, oh, you're white, then, I don't know, you like your country clubs and you like to swim in the ocean because white people only want to swim in the ocean. I mean, I've heard these things. Or they say, oh, you're an Asian, you drive a Honda or a Toyota. Like, these are racial things that are real, right?
Yeah.
Or, oh, you're black, you like watermelon. Like, these are all racial things.
I'm definitely gonna clip all of these things out.
No, these are racial things that are big time stereotypes that categorize people falsely. Now, I know they're lighthearted because you're like, well, you're white, you like to swim in the ocean, but people make fun of white people because we go surf and we go out in the middle of the ocean, right? But the reality is there is some accuracy to things, but like, yeah, there are black people and Asian people that like to go surf. There are, black people, white people, Asians that like watermelon. There are black people, white people, and Asians that drive Toyotas and Hondas. But my point of saying all this is that in our ignorance, we take people and we categorize them. And we say, this is what you are because of what I see, because I don't have the worldview that's healthy enough for me to actually understand that everybody is different and that your color and that what you are and that where you were born has nothing to do with what you actually like. And nothing, I mean, those things have influences, but there are people who are born in certain neighborhoods and go to private schools that go and end up working in inner city schools and making a huge impact. There are people that are raised in inner city schools that come out like Serena and Venus Williams, and they're some of the richest people on the planet, and they can walk into any country club and have the most respect of anyone. Now, you're saying, well, they're black, and in white country clubs, they may not get that from everybody. And that's unfortunately the truth. It's unfortunately the truth. But my point is, we take everybody and we put them into a ball, and it's called racism when it comes to color. It's called stereotypes when it comes to preferences. But it is a very, very dangerous and isolating thing to do, is my point. Because it shows our ignorance. It shows how much hatred we have. It shows how small-minded we are. That's the preface for what I'm about ready to tell you. So I read an article, and it said evangelicals made a bad trade. It said hitching the evangelical wagon. So this is talking about all Christians now. All right? This is a blanket statement. This isn't saying Protestants. This isn't saying Calvinists. This isn't saying Arminians. This isn't saying Pentecostals or Baptists. This says evangelicals, people who believe in Jesus. Right? This is the blanket statement. It said hitching the evangelical wagon to Donald Trump has meant unhitching from the life and teachings of Jesus. So the world right now sees the evangelical church as supporting Donald Trump. Okay? The problem with that is that not all the evangelical world supports Donald Trump. Not all the evangelical world that supports Donald Trump supports everything that Donald Trump does. So there's all these, I know black pastors who have been under scrutiny because they didn't vote Democrat, as well as I know white people who didn't vote Republican that if they told their white peers would be scrutinized. So that's, again, you're white, you vote Republican. You're black, you vote Democrat. There is these trash cans we put people in, and everybody gets organized, and it's dangerous. And when I saw this article, I was like, it's enough. Stop trying to fight for the world's view of us, is what I thought. Like, I'm not fighting for the world's view of me. I know who I am. I know what God's calling me to be. I'm going to love, and I'm going to teach the way Jesus taught, and I'm going to accept everybody. And I want people to know that Jesus loves them, that he pursues them, that there's nothing he wouldn't do to help them see that they're made uniquely in his image, that they are wonderfully and powerfully and overwhelmingly picked and chosen by him, every single person that's on this planet. I said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of trying to prove. I'm not going to prove to the world that as an evangelical that I'm not doing the teachings of Jesus. Listen, I absolutely believe in the Republican agenda, and I absolutely believe in the Democratic agenda. I believe that there are parts of both Republicans and Democrats that are really good, some really good things. I don't think that there is a political party in this country that is just dead on. I think everybody has their flaws. And I also think everybody brings their strengths. I really believe that. I'm not an ignorant Republican. I'm not an ignorant Democrat. I'm not an anti-Republican. I'm not an anti-Democrat. I'm not an independent. I don't classify in anything. But I really believe that every policy from different sides, there's some really good points. There are some really good points for everything the Republicans stand on against them. There are some really good points against everything the Democrats stand on. And you're like, well, you're not taking a stance. No, I am taking a stance. And my stance is that I am not willing to be classified as one or the other because I believe there are some really good – I don't have a political party on my license. I don't believe that I should classify as one of those. The reason I tell you that is this. Do I vote? Yes, I vote. Am I going to tell you how I voted for it? Not in a million years, because all it does is divide me. Have I been to the poll in the last 20 or the years since I was 18? So the last, I don't know, how many years is that? 24 years. Have I voted? I've never voted, walk away from the polls thinking that's God's choice.
Yeah.
The problem with people is there are statements being made about how God got his choice with Donald Trump. It says God got his choice with Joe Biden. God got his choice with Barack Obama. God got his choice with Ronald Reagan. You say, well, no, because they weren't this. God got his choice with Bill Clinton. Because the Bible says that God places authority. So if you're going to say that, you're telling me that every authority God's placed. You can't tell me he placed Donald Trump and didn't place Bill Clinton. Donald Trump's been indicted. Donald Trump has had charges against him. You're telling me Bill Clinton had an affair? And Bill Clinton, there are some things he did when he was in office that really helped people. So my point is, we want to classify things that we like because we're Christians, that God did them. That is not scriptural. That is called legalism. And that is the reason people don't want the church, because they don't see Jesus in the people that say they're a part of the church.
Yeah.
I have people in my life that I disagree heavily with that I have profound love for, and that have profound love and respect for me as well. And we disagree on policies, not because we talk, but we know. But we love each other passionately and will die for one another. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there's a true understanding of it's bigger than the political piece. And I think when I saw this article, the reason it stirred me so much is because evangelicals, what a lot of people don't realize is that your affiliation is not uniting people for God. It's dividing people that could come to you to see Jesus. Like when you're doing, and this is the thing, this is a very dividing podcast right now, because there are a lot of people who listen that I know right now are going to be passionately fired. Like, I can't believe you would say anything against Donald Trump because he is God's answer. And as you've heard, have I said a word against Donald Trump other than stating the facts? No. But the problem is we look at a president as our savior instead of looking at our savior as the savior.
Yeah.
And we have more passion for the president. There's more posts about the president. There's more posts about what he's done than there is about what Jesus is doing in your life. And you're wondering why you're dividing, because you're not there for the Messiah. You're there for you. You're there for your pride. When you push a candidate more than your Messiah, you are there for your pride. You're there to win. You are there to. This country is not getting turned around because of a president. This country needs Jesus. We need to learn how to pray, and I think we do pray. But there is Jesus. Jesus taken out of so many things that you're saying, well, that's why we're this and that, and that's why people. There are people that claim to know Jesus that do not know Jesus. All right, that's the reality. There are people that go to church that are deacons on a church board that do not know Jesus. Period. Right?
Yeah.
So when we say evangelicals, they're saying everybody who claims to know Jesus. Well, the reality is, I wish they would just say hitching the wagon of people who claim to know Jesus but don't to Donald Trump has been unhitching for life and teaching the Jesus. Because when there are people who see your life and they can say you've unhitched your life from Jesus because you've hitched it to a political figure, I would say people that claim to be Christians, wake the heck up. Wake up. Wake up. Because Jesus didn't ask us to die for a president. He didn't ask us to die for a king. He didn't ask us to die for a justice. He asked us to live our lives fully submitted to him. And what's happening is there are people claiming to know Jesus that are willing to die on the mountain of a political figure. And that is not scripture. Jesus himself didn't do that. He said, give to Caesar what Caesar, give to God what's God's. He knew he was the Messiah. And what happens is, what Satan can't destroy, he will slowly take away until there's nothing left. And there are so many people that are dying to a political agenda. And so when I read this, it just infuriated me, because that's what people think, that the church world is Donald Trump. And so there are people who won't go to church because they don't want to go into a building with a bunch of people who vote for Trump. And the reality is this. There are a lot of things that Donald Trump does that a lot of Christians don't agree with. There are a lot of things he does they do agree with. Just like I said, there's a lot of things the Democratic Party do that Christians don't agree with, and there's a lot of things they do that Christians do agree with. It is not. It is. If anything, I could tell you, the church I pastor, it's probably split, because people, and you say, well, there are people who believe you can't vote Democrat and go to heaven because all they can see is what they see in front of them.
Yeah.
I've got death threats from talking about gun control on this podcast. People said they were going to come to our church and kill me. I have had those death threats. Or come to the city, they're going to find me and kill me. I've had death threats. My point is this. That is a problem. That's why you need gun control, when you have people willing to kill somebody over a podcast with a gun. When they tell you, well, I'm going to use this gun that you want me to have controlled and kill you with it. Well, you're the type of person that needs gun control. Right?
Yeah.
And people hear it as taking away my rights. We're not saying taking away your rights. Controlling is different than having rights, right? It's saying, well, let's do what's best for everybody. We're not taking anything. Let's talk about what that even means. I've got family that don't stand on. I've got people in my life that disagree passionately with what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
And the problem is, I'm not saying anything against anybody. I'm saying, why are we so? And I know it's pride, it's arrogance, it's religiosity, it's legalism, because we think we know. The reality is, the Bible, the only thing we really know, the only truth is wisdom that comes from the Lord. And just because you vote something and you say you're a Christian doesn't mean you're wise. When I am being categorized as an evangelical, hitching my wagon to Donald Trump, that's not why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm not here. I am here because I want to follow Jesus, and I want people to see Jesus in my life. I want them to see he is a real creator. He is a real master. He is a real rewarder. He is a real lover of our soul. He is a real helper and kind. And you know what? There's no president that's ever affected my life in a way that I couldn't live. There's no political figure that's ever had that control over me, because they will never have that control over me. I don't care if they take stuff. Take stuff.
Yeah.
But Jesus is the giver of life, not people.
Yeah.
You feel me? And so when I heard this, man, it just stirred everything in me that you can possibly imagine when it comes to why I hate mixing. It's not even mixing politics with religion. It's like, you should be able to do that. You should be able to mix what you believe in because Jesus is what you believe in. But the problem is we go away from Jesus into what we believe in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're, honestly, to shout out your wife's message this past weekend, when I view our political climate, but just, and I think, I don't know, the truth is we need each other. And so if you look at this just politically, like you've already stated, there's points on both sides that are great points. And the problem is when you become so insular and you become so like in a bubble in your own party that you claim, that all of a sudden the other party is the enemy. But the truth is, I feel like the country is operating like a bad marriage right now. And it's like, you guys don't realize that you actually need one another. There's strengths and weaknesses on both sides. And you just ignore one another, or you argue back and forth with one another, and you're not actually making each other stronger. You're making each other, more divisive and weaker. And there is this realization of we need one another. What all of us need is healthy perspective from the outside. And that only happens when you're talking to people that think differently than you, that maybe have a different perspective than you. And sure, we do need the art of agreeing to disagree, but we also need the art of being able to see something from someone else's perspective with empathy and sympathy and care. And then from that, both parties saying, well, okay, well, how can we collectively fix this together? Not, I'm going to fix it on my own over here, and you're going to fix it on your, that's not how this works. That's not how the world has been designed to operate. And so we need each other. And if you need each other, and if you actually feel like you need someone that might claim to be on the other side, which I kind of hate even that way anyway, that's a person, that's a human being with their own story and their own testimony and their own perspectives. As long as I'm open and they're open to a dialogue and a discussion, then that's what we need. But we don't. We just sit on our own side of the fence and lobby attacks at one another, and that doesn't make us better. It makes nobody better.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I heard it said one time when you're fighting with your spouse that if somebody wins, nobody wins. I think people need to realize that's where it's at. What really matters when you're laying on your back and you're on your deathbed and you're breathing your last and you can hear your lungs barely working, you can hear the hiss from your voice because you can't get enough air, and you're looking around and the room's starting to go black and you're seeing your family stand there. What really matters? Mm-hmm. What really matters is whether or not you've set up your family for legacy. Are you financially in a place where you can give to the next generation, right? Do you have something to leave behind? You're saying, well, it's not about money. No, but I'm saying, do you have something you can leave behind? Do you have something you're giving the next generation in every area of their life, physically, spiritually? Or have you left them with legacy? Yeah, I've left them because they know I love God and I go to church. But how has that played out for them? What have they seen you do in your life that they will mimic, that will make them passionate men and women of God? Because do what you want them to do in your life, I don't want my kids to think that I was a political staunch guy or that I stood firm on my political values. And I want them to be like, dad knew what he believed and he loved God and he stood firm in the things of God and loved people unconditionally. There wasn't a person that he didn't love. He wasn't posting things that were cryptic or that divided. He was in love with people because Jesus was everything to him. That's what I want my kids to remember. And if my eyes are going closed, there are regrets I would have even now. Like, I want more time because I want my kids to see even more love. I want them to see, I feel like I don't have enough time. I mean, I got a 14, 12, 10, and 8-year-old, and I want them to see that I just feel like I haven't had enough time with them. Like I haven't had enough time to groom them. I haven't had enough time to do it. And because I just want more and more being built into them. And so I just think it's so important for us to think that way, and this just bothered me because the evangelical world is not behind Trump. It's not behind Biden. The real evangelical world is behind Jesus. And we believe and we love people and we vote because it's our constitutional right. But I didn't vote to divide people. I voted to unite people. And I know it's an impossibility, but I did what I thought was best. It doesn't mean it's the only right way. You know what I mean? And I just think people need to know that God is still God. And the church is not, we're not going to hitch our wagon to anybody. That's not the way it works. So here's my final thought.
Here's my final thought.
I read a letter that came across at Christmas time. It was from an elderly woman. There was a restaurant that opened up. They had free meals on Christmas Day, and an elderly woman left a letter when she left this Christmas meal. And it actually kind of goes into what we were just saying. It said, a very heartfelt thank you. It was a handwritten note. A very heartfelt thank you for the kindness of you all. It would have been a very long, boring Christmas for me as I have no family left. I never thought of this years ago, but being the youngest in my family, I've seen everyone leave this earth before me. And she explained that she was living on Social Security and benefits, and it was forcing her to downsize and to live in a rented room in a shared home. And it says a friend heard about the email and invited me out for a Christmas lunch. And she said it was a great idea since I was down to $1. It says, thank you for making it a day to remember. And so the owner has tried to find this woman. I haven't followed up on it, but he tried to find this woman to invite her to his home for Christmas or for the holidays. And I think I just want everybody listening to think of, you don't know what people around you are actually going through until you get to know the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
People don't care how interesting you are. They want to know that you're interested. Mm. And I just think it's really important for us to take a step back and to stop trying to run up the hill and to prove ourselves and to divide and conquer. But the people around you are fighting battles that you really don't know about unless you're in it with them. And I know for me, you see a lot of older people, and sometimes I'm like, man, they must have it made. They're probably retired. They've got some savings. And the reality is, it's not where people are at. Because I always look at retired people and think, man, they're just living it up. But most people on fixed incomes, it gets really scary. But you think, I tell my wife all the time, I was like, right now, our kids are small, our parents are all alive, we're in the cusp of life. It's just a fun time. I said, but there's coming a day where our parents will all be gone, where our kids will be grown up. They'll have their own families. They'll have their own kids, and we'll have grandkids. And it becomes a little, like, they want you at their house all the time. But then when our kids grow up and they become our grandkids grow up and they become parents, and we become great-grandparents. Well, now our kids are doing with their kids what we did with them. Our kids are going to their kids' house for Christmas because that's their grandkids that they're going to Christmas for. And we're older. And I was like, at that point, I can understand how you can't travel as much. You can't get out as much. I can understand how life can become very, very, very isolating. The people have passed around you. There's a lot of friends that are gone. You live to be old. Everybody around you is gone. And I've got two grandmas. One is 91 and one is 90. One just turned 92. One's 90. And I know they've experienced that. Like there's a lot of family around them. There's people around them every day, but their spouses are gone. A lot of their siblings are gone. And so they've just outlived everybody. And I think about their situation and that they're just alone a lot. And they have family around them. Don't get me wrong. They're seeing family. They got people around them. But there's still that place of, at the end of the day, it's different. You know? And I just think we need to think about the people around us, because all the seasons are going to change. And, right now, for a lot of you parents of young kids, you're looking forward to the day where it's going to be alone. You're going to be alone a lot. But I think it's closer than we think. And I think it's just one of those things. If you don't know where people are out, think about the people around you, and think about, they don't care how interesting you are. They want to know that you're interested. Let me pray for you. Father, I thank you so much for each and every listener. I thank you for this incredible platform to be able to continue to talk about how great you are. I just pray that each person would know today you love them. God, if there's somebody who doesn't know you that's listening right now, they would just say, Father, I ask you to forgive me. I ask you to come into my life. I believe Jesus is the Son of God, and then he rose again, and I surrender. And God, I pray they would know that, God, simply by saying that prayer and confessing that you are the King of Kings, that God, they are yours. They can spend eternity with you. They can walk with you. I just pray that you would be with us, guide us, direct us, help us to see that you are everything and more that you promised to be. We love you, and we're grateful for you. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. This weekend, 9:30, we start a new series from the beginning. Can't wait to see you guys.